It was the last days of summer, and the weather was quite hot. John had finally gone to the small mountain village with his family that they had wanted to visit for years. This village was located in a very remote and quiet place far from the city. At night, the sky was covered with stars, and during the day, the surroundings were filled with the sounds of birds. The first day passed very peacefully. The family explored the village and spent time in nature. The second night, however, everything changed. John woke up in the middle of the night to hear a strange sound in his room. It sounded like someone was breathing. At first, he thought it was just the wind, but the sound didn't stop. He slowly got out of bed and carefully examined his room. Everything was in its place. Just as he was about to return to bed, he saw something move out of the corner of his eye. In the corner, something was moving within the shadows. John squinted his eyes to try and see, but he couldn't make out anything. He told himself it was just a figment of his imagination and went back to bed. However, he couldn't sleep. Whenever he closed his eyes, he felt as if he could see that shadow again. By morning, he had barely managed to get through the night. He told his family about the situation, but no one took him seriously. "You're in a new place. Maybe you just imagined it," they said. John felt a strange unease throughout the day. He decided to visit one of the village elders, Old Man Henry. Old Man Henry was the oldest and wisest person in the village. John told him about what happened that night. Old Man Henry's face grew serious, and he took a deep breath. "This village has an old curse," he said. "Years ago, a family that settled here experienced strange events. The youngest child of the house was disturbed by a shadow at night. Eventually, the child disappeared and was never found again." John felt a chill run down his spine. Old Man Henry gave him a talisman and said, "Put this at the head of your bed. It will keep the shadow away." John took the talisman and returned home, doing as the old man said. That night, John again saw movement among the shadows, but this time he had placed the talisman at the head of his bed. The shadow stood in the corner of the room, watching John. John closed his eyes in fear and began to pray. After a while, the room fell silent and the shadow disappeared. The next morning, John told his family about the situation and insisted that they should leave the village. His family hesitated at first, but upon John's insistence, they left the village. John took the talisman with him and always kept it by his bedside. Even years later, he never forgot the terror he experienced that night and believed that the talisman had protected him.